Hey folks, my name is Mike. This is KEI Fabrication and welcome to my shop. And this is my most recent project, and this is my shop truck, my daily driver, my race truck, my garbage truck, and my all-around performance vehicle. It is a junkyard build where we drag two vehicles out of two different junkyards and combine them to make one performance vehicle. If you want to follow along with the channel, you can see the progress of the build on this truck and all the modifications that have been made. So this truck has already been to car shows, it's been road racing, it's been drag racing, and it's been circle track racing. So we've got a bunch more new projects in the queue. We're looking forward to meeting more of you. And for those of you who've been with the channel for a while, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate your comments and the interaction and encouragement. I hopefully through this project we've gained some credibility with you folks. And let's see what's coming up next. Hey folks, this is the first time I've been in the shop probably in 3 weeks. I was down with a head cold and it took a long time to get over with, plus with the holidays and everything else. Just taking a long time to get back at it. Today's mission is to do the final inspection of the adapters for the brakes. So that'll make some of you happy because you've been patiently waiting, and I appreciate your patience to get a price and delivery on the adapters to swap the Crown Victoria and Ford Explorer brakes over to the Mazda factory spindle. So we're going to work on that. Alright folks, one of the things I wanted to accomplish this week was I wanted to do a thorough inspection of the bushings that are the adapters that go from the Mazda spindle to the Ford Crown Victoria wheel bearing. I think I've put on about 5,000 miles since I've put them on. I've daily driven it for those miles. I've road raced the thing. I've probably got an hour and 20 minutes of track time road racing it. The majority of those turns were right-hand turns, and that means the outside wheel gets the highest load. So I'm going to look at this one first. And you know, we've done drag racing, did some circle track stuff. However, I believe because I only did basically 2 laps of circle track racing in the Spectator drags, the right side didn't see anywhere near the amount of load that the left side did at the road course at Thompson International Raceway. So I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to remove the bushing that is in here. That's adapting the Crown Vic wheel bearing to the Mazda spindle, and just go through the inspection really well. And then once I see that it is okay, assuming it's okay, I'm going to actually have another short production run of these and offer them up to the folks that want to do this conversion. Until I got some confidence in beating this thing up, would I never ever release this to the general public if I didn't have a reasonable amount of confidence that is going to absolutely withstand the kinds of things that are going on. You have to understand, I live in Rhode Island. Potholes are notorious in this area, so you know the 5,000 miles is on back roads, secondary roads, and our highways, which are in terrible condition. And we have some of the worst condition roads in the country, and we're in the process of fixing all of those things. However, they're still terrible, especially in the wintertime with the frost heaves and everything else. So these things have seen their fair amount of abuse, so I think it's time to pull them apart and inspect them and see if there's anything scary going on, or do they look in great condition. So I'll let you know in a few minutes. Alright folks, I've got it all apart. I've inspected it thoroughly, and I'm very happy with what I'm seeing. Both the adapter, the wheel bearing, the caliper, the bolts, the spindle itself, everything looks happy. So I'm very, very encouraged about what I found, and I'm just going to put it back together and keep running it. I'm going to put a little bit of anti-seize on this area. You can see that some moisture made its way in here, and I just want to prevent any kind of seizure or rust from happening where it shouldn't be. This is normally protected by a seal, and there is no sealing mechanism here. The seal is actually on the back side of the hub to protect the bearing. So there is no resistance, if you will, to stop some infiltration of moisture here. So I'm going to go ahead and put some anti-seize on this, put it all back together. You can see it slips together really, really nice still. And I'm actually very relieved with what I found. So maybe we will put together a short production run and offer these things up to the people who want to do this brake conversion. Okay folks, here we go. This is the last inspection that I wanted to do to make sure if anybody orders these things they really get the correct thing. And one thing I want to show you is from the production version to the modified version that will be released to everybody, I had to extend this area right here just a touch to extend this radius out just a tiny bit, so this would go 100% flush against the factory spindle. So I needed to just extend that out just a tiny bit. It still fits beautifully along here, and then down here I had to extend this just a tiny bit. I'm talking I didn't need to go more than 15 thousandths, but I'm going 30 just to be sure. I don't know what the manufacturing tolerance limits are of this spindle. So this is somewhat relieved because I've cut away partial of the hoop, so it's sprung off of this just a tiny bit. So I don't want you to get nervous about that. But you can see how much I really tried to share the strength of the spindle itself with the bushing. So all that really was happening is the forces of the wheel bearing were transmitted directly into the spindle, both in the tapered portion here and the portion where the inner wheel bearing went for the stock Mazda, and the wheel bearing forces were be transmitted to the spindle through the stock outer Mazda wheel bearing surface and the angled or tapered version of the spindle. So the stock Ford Crown Vic bearing race comes in about this far, and it comes from here into about this far. There's a little gap in the middle. So the bearing surface for the Crown Vic is completely taken into consideration, both the inner and outer. And the geometry here is 99.9% good. I'm going to make some final adjustments to my drawings to make sure when they're revised, when you folks get these, they're perfect. So I'll make my updates to the drawings based on what I see here, and I'm going to send them back out for a quote because it's been a while since these have been manufactured. I want to make sure that scheduling and pricing is accurate. And then what will also be included in the project and in what you purchase from me is this washer that slides over, and it doesn't sit against this surface like I showed in a previous video. It actually stands off of it a little bit, and when I tighten it down, it actually pushes the Crown Victoria wheel bearings, the inner and outer wheel bearing, together just like the way it was intended on the stock Crown Victoria spindle. So when it's all tight and the stock Mazda spindle nut is tightened down to the same torque that is expected on the Crown Victoria spindle, you'll have a minor gap here between the adapter and this washer, so all of the torque and thrust pushing on the bearing mimics what's going on with the Crown Victoria spindle. So this is the last of the details that I wanted to take care of. As I mentioned earlier, with the holidays and getting sick, this is the first day I've had to get out into the garage and do this follow-up things, and now I can go to the vendor that manufactured these, T-Tech Machine, for me. They do an absolutely beautiful job. They specialize in CNC lathe turning, and that's the perfect operation for this type of profile. And my confidence needs to be 100%. So if you folks, purchase these things, when you get them, they do what you expect them to do. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish here. These are going to be fairly expensive because the material is expensive, the manufacturing process is a little expensive. I'm trying to build confidence both with myself that they're 100% worthy of the price that you're paying, and they're going to deliver to your expectations and hopefully exceed them. So I'm going to put my truck all back together. You can see it's up on the lift, and I'm going to wrap it up for today. Tonight I'll make the adjustments to my drawings and my 3D model, and I'll send these out for quote as soon as the vendor sees them in their email. I'm sure he'll get right back to me on price and delivery, and then I will in turn get in touch with you folks. So thanks again. So you can see here to the right of the screen is the first spot that I pointed out earlier that I needed to make a minor adjustment to the depth of that internal profile, and the same as that ramp transitions out, I just had to extend it down a little bit, and I was able to determine how much was necessary when I did this initially to modify the set that's on the truck. Now I was able to use bluing dye and scrub it in real good and look inside there and put it on the lathe, keep using bluing dye, using bluing dye, using bluing dye until that interference went away. So, whoops. So that was, I took some fairly accurate measurements, and I got real close. Like I said, I had to take about 15 thousandths off here, and then I just put a radius back in. That's why there's more material removed here, just to make sure that I had no stress concentration in this thinned area, and the same down here. So anyway, that's what the production version is going to take into account, and when you folks get these things, hopefully through this effort you'll get a really nice product in return. Okay folks, so this is the deal. We are finished with the inspection. We made all the modifications to the drawings. I've sent it out to the vendor and got the quote back. I've double checked the pricing on material, and as I mentioned a few minutes ago, this is going to be a little bit expensive. These are all custom parts. It's a short production run, so the manufacturing time is expensive, and I'm using high quality 4140 material that's specifically designed to withstand the kind of abuse that it could see in this situation. So the total pricing, that would include 2 bushings and 2 washers, including the adapter for the Ford Explorer master cylinder. The total package price, including shipping, is going to be $300 for, again, a left and right side spindle bushing, a left and right side thrust washer, and the adapter to put inside the Ford Explorer master cylinder that goes on the brake pedal plunger from the Mazda B2200 power brake booster. So how do you go about getting these? I'm going to do this through PayPal. What I'm going to ask that you do first, if you are interested, is to contact me via email.
My email address will be on the screen. It's keifabrication@gmail.com. Once we establish email communication, I'll give you the PayPal address. I'm going to ask for a $150 deposit, and then at the time that the parts are packaged and ready to ship, I will ask for the balance, and then the parts will be sent to you. United States Postal Service. I have to make it clear that the price and delivery that I gave you is for continental U.S. If it's going overseas, we can handle that through email, and there may or may not be a slightly higher price just from shipping alone. So you'll have to take care of that for me. So what I'm going to ask that you do, if you're interested, after I post this video, contact me via email. I don't have the Instagram account or Facebook account set up right now, so I'm going to have to rely on email. And I will contact you directly, and that way our communication is private and protected, and the critical information in terms of payment and shipping and delivery remains private as well. So I put a lot of effort into this. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Matter of fact, once you get it all put together, I think you'll be amazed at how well it stops. Step one, contact me via email, and I will get back to you immediately, and then we'll get this process rolling. All right, thanks again, and I hope I can help facilitate your big break conversion.